Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. There's an awful lot of things going on in a hurry right now. In Congress, in the states, in the courts. Who better to keep us up to date with what's going on than Alan Gottlieb, the founder and the head of the Second Amendment Foundation and the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. Alan, welcome. It's busy time.
Tom, it's extremely busy, and thank heavens for shows like yours to help get the information out to gun owners who need it when things change on a minute-by-minute basis out there.
Well, thank you for that. I mean, I feel like this last week I've just been whipsawed. It's like the texts are going crazy, and I'm going, this happened and that happened. You got the Ninth Circuit, you got the bump stock decision, you've got things going on in Congress. It's like, the NRA debacle is just more and more. Where do you want to start? When you're trying to tell somebody what's going on right now and what's important, how do you start?
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Really a tough one.
I know. I mean, first of all, you got the Ninth Circuit saying that there is no right to bear arms. That was bizarre.
Yeah, but not unexpected.
No.
The Ninth Circuit still has an anti-gun rights bent to it. And they stalled it out a little bit because it was an en banc panel. It could have gone to appeal from the appeals panel right to the Supreme Court. This stalls it a bit to buy some more time for maybe Biden to get somebody onto the court. And so that's partly what was behind them going en banc on it. But it was a loony decision. I mean, and it's easy to pull it apart. The dissenting judges did a really great job in their dissent, explaining why it's a stupid decision. And also, I think, quite frankly, that the Supreme Court is going to take a carry case. I'm really convinced of it, but I'm not sure it's going to be that one. I think it's probably going to be one out of New York or New Jersey or Maryland first.
Yeah, I think that on Friday, the Supreme Court in conference was considering the next New York case. And we may know this week if we're going to take that. A lot of things headed that way. I do want to spin back on the Ninth Circuit. If people want to look it up, it's Young v. Hawaii. It's a 215-page decision. But if you want to read something brilliant, start at page 108, where you start with the dissent. And the judge that wrote the dissent, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, and he was joined by, I think 3 other judges as well. So, I mean, it wasn't just a lone dissent.
Right.
And it was brilliant, Tom, and there's no two ways about it. It laid it out perfectly. And when your listeners go to look up the Young case, remember there are 2 different Young cases that have been at the Ninth Circuit, one on concealed carry and this one on open carry. So you want to pull the most recent one, which is the open carry one.
One of the things that and I tell people, look, we're fighting 2 battles, or at least on 2 fronts. You have got the legislative thing going on, both in Congress and in the states, but then you got the battle in the courts. And I don't know if it's me whistling past the graveyard or wishful thinking, but I keep thinking that if we could get the right decisions coming out of the Supreme Court, it could take care of a lot of the legislative things, because it would simply say banning semi-automatic rifles, for instance, is unconstitutional, and those all go away. Am I grasping at straws here with this idea?
No, not at all. And I think that's where we're all headed. And after Amy Coney Barrett was confirmed to the Supreme Court, we launched the Second Amendment Foundation, a giant campaign to stack the lower courts with all kinds of suits that go on up to get something before the high court, and I'm sure we're going to. It's just a matter of time. And, of course, we're all impatient because protecting our rights against all these legislative threats are really important to all of us. But we're moving in the right direction there, and we've had a lot of court wins in the last few months as well. I mean, the Boulder, Colorado ban on semi-automatic firearms was struck down under preemption, that they don't have a right in Boulder to do that. And under similar preemption laws in Washington State, we took out a storage law on how you could keep your gun for self-protection in your own home, knocked down an ordinance in Edmonds, Washington, and another one in Seattle, Washington. So, I mean, we're doing okay, and a lot more suits have been filed, stacking things in the courts to move in our direction. I'm kind of excited about it, actually.
It's an interesting time, and I know I hear from a lot of gun owners that say, well, it's just terrible. It's terrible times. Joe Biden's in, the administration's anti-gun. All that's true. But they don't seem to be aware of our successes, and we are having successes. And to your point, as soon as Amy Coney Bryant was confirmed, the Second Amendment Foundation, I mean, immediately went in and instigated a number of lawsuits with the idea of, we're going to put these in, and our plan is to get them to the Supreme Court with good cases as opposed to, and there are some junk cases that people tend to file, aren't there?
Unfortunately, that's true, and those set us back a bit. But like as USA Today noted this past week, the Second Amendment Foundation this year has filed 17 suits in federal court. And as the Washington Post pointed out, we have like approximately 40 cases going on nationally right now.
Wow. Incredible. I mean, and the reality is, Second Amendment Foundation is a relatively small group. It's not like 5 million members. But it's funny, I was just talking with some people this week that said, I just went ahead and did a life membership to SAF. And I said, well, that was $150. He said, yeah, it's only $150. And another one said, well, I did the 5-year membership and that was only $50. That's what I could do. I said, well, but that's all good. I mean, that's money well spent. And frankly, you can't say this, but I can say this. A lot of people are not going to send money to the NRA right now. They're still waiting to see what happens. But I don't want people to be sitting on the sidelines, and Second Amendment Foundation is out there doing things and making things happen.
Yeah, the one I like, I got a letter in the mail with a $50 check this week from a woman who's retired. She was a school teacher for over 40 years. She does not own a gun, but she's sick and tired of every time there's a school shooting that they blame the gun and not the person that did the shooting. And she decided that she cares about her constitutional rights, even though she's probably never going to own a gun. And she joined as a 5-year member. That really pulled at my heartstrings a bit. Here's a retired woman, doesn't own a gun, but realizes how important our constitutional rights are and sends in $50.
Yeah, somebody on a fixed income says $50 is a lot for that person. So that's a big vote of confidence. And I think there are a lot of people who feel that way. And here's the interesting part. And sometimes drives our gun buddies crazy when I say this. I said, but look, it's not just conservatives who believe in the Second Amendment. There's a lot of folks who self-identify as liberals and Democrats who support gun rights. And I always say, you can't throw away that support. And they will actually put their money where their mouths are, too, and they will do work. So I'll take help from wherever it comes.
Yeah, we're totally all-inclusive. You support Second Amendment rights. That's all we care about. But unfortunately, like it or not, it's very hard to name any Democratic Party leaders who support Second Amendment rights.
Yeah,
from the White House down, Schumer, Pelosi. I mean, if I have to take a look at a national pro-gun rights spokesman who's a Democrat, there really isn't one. The closest we come to one might be Joe Manchin from West Virginia, who owns guns, cares about the Second Amendment. He also wants to put his background check bill through. He opposes the background check bill passed by the House and the gun ban bill passed by the House of Representatives, but I can't seem to get him to sponsor a pro-gun rights bill. So based on that, and that's the closest we come to a national prominent Democrat, and they won't really speak out on our behalf, and so that's a problem. There must be a lot of frustrated Democrats out there who aren't exactly happy that they can't even find a spokesman in their own party who's going to stick his head out above the sand.
How much do you think it makes a difference to have Amy Coney Barrett on the Supreme Court now?
Makes a giant difference because now our Chief Justice isn't sitting in the middle deciding if they're going to take a case or not take a case. You only need 4 justices to take a case, but you need 5 to win it. And I think Amy Coney Bryant pretty much is, you can confirm that she will vote for Second Amendment rights, which gives us our 5th vote. So it negates a little bit about the Chief Justice playing any political games there. And I think if she votes our way, it forces him to vote our way as well. So I think you're going to see some 6-3 decisions coming down on gun rights, not 5-4.
Oh, that would be huge, wouldn't it?
It'd be very huge, and I'd like to see it go a little bit more like 7-2, and get one of the Democratic appointees picked off. I know in some private conversations on certain issues, a couple of them sympathize with us, but getting them to break ranks with your party is rather difficult.
It is, and there shouldn't actually be a party for Supreme Court justices, obviously. I'm just in the process, just started reading Neil Gorsuch's book, A Republic If You Can Keep It, and he makes the point that there shouldn't be left and right judges. They should be, just basically making decisions on the basis of the law. That's the idea. We know it doesn't always happen that way. So where do we go from here? What are you working on these days?
Well, basically, we're doing an awful lot of, we're reaching about 15 to 20 million people a week right now between the foundation and the Citizens Committee for Right to Keep Their Arms on social media, text messaging, and email blasts, both on, fighting legislation as well as educating the American public as to what's going on gun rights. And I think we're having an impact with that. If you just saw the Rasmussen poll issued this week, 64% of likely U.S. voters don't think that any new gun control laws can prevent any mass shootings, and 51% don't believe gun control laws prevent any of these things to begin with only 39% thinking that they do. So I think our message is resonating and getting out to people right now, despite, when you have the legacy media, the dominant liberal media obviously pushing an agenda. I think we're getting our message out through other ways, between, direct mail, and our TV ad campaign as well, that we have running for both groups on national television. Mm-hmm. And next week we're doubling up on that. There's going to be, I think it's 87 national TV spots between the Citizens Committee and the Second Amendment Foundation running on national television on 21 networks.
Huh. That's huge. That's great outreach. And I guess, my message is just, it's fine for us to think about a group like the Second Amendment Foundation doing all this stuff. And that's important and necessary. But at the same time, I always drill it back to the individual. It's like it takes all of us acting as individuals, each of us doing something, making the calls, talking to people, writing the letters, making the comments online. I mean, each of us has to be his and her own activist in this fight, right?
Right. It's boots on the ground. Groups like the Second Amendment Foundation and Citizens Committee for Right to Keep and Bear Arms could be the artillery, and the Air Force. But you still need the man things on the front line, and that's where our individual gun owners come in. And everything you're saying is totally correct.
Yeah, well, there you go. And I would drive people, if you want to go find out more about what SAF is up to, SAF.org. It's SAF as in Second Amendment Foundation. Alan Gottlieb, thank you so much for everything you do and for keeping us up to date. And if you would, as things break, because I know it's happening fast, let me know. We'll get you back on here for updates, okay?
Deal. Thank you very, very, very much.
All right, you take care. Alan Gottlieb, Second Amendment Foundation.